Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Pavan Bahl. I am the founder and managing partner of Bellwether Culture. We are an experiential design agency and consultancy group that works with brands at the intersection of innovation. I'm also one of the hosts of Fashion is Your Business, which is the leading podcast that covers, again, that intersection of fashion, brand, and technology. It is such a pleasure to be with you here today, or kind of here with you today. I'm actually over in Miami right now, where we're doing an activation at the Kimpton Surf Comer Hotel, and we are here at Miami Art Week. A lot of folks know it as or identify it with Art Basel, but we are here developing a full activation that is specific on NFT at the intersection of art, and there's a lot of overlap here in fashion and beauty, which is exciting to actually bring to you all. But what we're going to focus on today is, first I'm going to talk about just a little bit of a primer of what NFTs are. We'll go into kind of what the metaverse is, or Web3, and kind of how we're moving from a two-dimensional internet to a more immersive and inclusive experience with the internet. And then finally move towards kind of how brands are already experimenting in the space and what can be the future of connectivity and how to connect to your customer through innovation and experience design through this new world of Web3. Okay. Thank you so much for the Hungarian fashion and design agency. Really appreciate you giving me this opportunity to be here. And of course, our partners at Fresh Stash, who you'll see this presentation behind me is actually an interactive metaverse gallery that we've created over here at Unrevealed, which is our program during Miami Art Week. So to start, I think the best would be to say, what is an NFT, right? Or a non-fungible token. So essentially a non-fungible token identifies something with individuality, right? It is something that's verified on the blockchain, it is non-replicable, and it is individual. So that can mean a million things. I know that's pretty vague, but that's what non-fungible token means. And what we've kind of come to identify that with when it comes to art, or specifically the easiest application has been art, is an image, right? So a digital asset that can be then tied back to a blockchain to verify its authenticity, and then say that the ownership also kind of connects as well, this whole thing. I won't go into blockchain technology and kind of how that weaves in and out, but I would recommend looking into Luxo if you're interested in blockchain that is specific to fashion and creative industries. But what we'll say is, I guess what we're talking here a lot about in Art Basel is art pieces, right? So something like what you may have heard of, the Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? They've been getting a lot of press these days with a lot of celebrities coming in, and it feels, well, it is a community, but it really is a piece or a collection of individualized art, and that's where it starts. We'll talk about kind of the utility and how they developed a strategy around community and how you can do that for your brand or your business. It is a weird shift in your head to think about what ownership of a physical piece like this garment could be, or this watch could be, this hat can be, versus something that can be completely digital, so non-tangible, right? So a piece of digital fashion, which you must have seen, where you can have a piece of digital work that you own, whether it's Balenciaga, and put it on your, put your jacket on and you go into a Fortnite game, and you must have heard a bunch of stuff like that. Like or just a piece of artwork that you can only have and show people on your phone, right? Or on your computer or on your screen. A lot of the pushback on NFT are the people that are not, I guess, the naysayers, or the folks that just maybe don't understand it, will kind of come saying, well, why does it matter? I could take a picture of that same thing, or I'll have that file and I could share that file. I can make it my profile. It doesn't matter. I don't need to own it. So once we get away from thinking about what the value is, I'm going to take a step back for a second because I lost my train. But what we'll do is, so what I'll say is, when we think about the ownership of like an image, a video, whether it's of your friends and family or your brand, right? If you post it anywhere, whether it's on a platform like on Google or IG, WeChat, WhatsApp, whatever it might be, the perception that we have is that that is our photo. And that's not the reality. The reality is that the other platforms are making money on that digital asset. So who actually owns it? So if you talk about an NFT and you can verify the authenticity of it and then verify the ownership of it, you now control the valuation and the utility that exists behind that piece of digital work. So that is kind of like a little bit of a primer of what an NFT is. And now switching gears into what the metaverse is, or Web3, and how they kind of combine it is kind of the tricky thing. And bear with me, I talk fast when I get excited. I'm from New York, so it's just kind of in my blood a little bit. But so what happens is, so right now in Web 2, or what we understand of the internet, so, Internet Explorer, Firefox, all these things, right? That's what we've come to know of the internet. We go onto Google Chrome, we browse, your favorite e-commerce site, you purchase something, and that's where the transaction exists. Web 3 is now your new portal, or your new portal into the internet. So the leading, let's say, platforms that exist today are Sandbox and Decentraland. Decentraland being kind of that game leading platform. Of course, everyone's probably heard that Facebook has now officially changed their name to Meta. We don't know kind of what's going on there. We do know there's obviously a huge priority on the metaverse. Whether it'll be a platform technology or a social kind of club on top of it, we don't know. However, what we do know is that is a signal, if not all the different brands that are already activating in Decentraland and elsewhere, that the metaverse is something that is not only fast approaching, but it's already here, and it's going to show explosive growth over the next 6 to 18 months in terms of how we, as customers, will now experience brands. So again, with the internet, it is 2D, right? It's two-dimensional. I go onto a website, I look at stuff, I click in what I want. I have some really fancy stuff with visual search and AI and all these things that can help me find a really good, like, pair of jeans or a shirt or something I love. And, I must admit, I love where innovation has taken us over particularly the last 5 years, in terms of giving us the tools we need to find what we want quickly, have a great experience with the product coming, leaving, all that stuff. However, what's missing, and what I didn't realize is missing this whole time, is the branded experience. When you come to an event like this, you're immersed inside of a full branded experience. Like, Nike will have their full activate. ComplexCon will have like a Nike this, Adidas that, Bape going across. Like it's so exciting to step into the world of a brand, because the reality is that we revere these brands because of the culture that it puts forward and what they're able to create and inspire us as customers to give them our hard-earned money, right? Our loyalty. And now, so you can now create that in Web3. So in Decentraland, what ends up happening is you could actually create full environments on your computer at home. There's no need for VR goggles, this and that. You can now walk through and create an experience where people are walking into your store. They're seeing the clothes around or the artwork on the walls. They're hearing the music. They're in your fully curated environment, which you want to set forth. And what's interesting about this is that, I guess, to take a step back, anything on, whether it's Decentraland or Sandbox or any of the other platforms that may come to fruition, is that it is real estate. You're buying digital real estate, land, plots, things that are there firm against the blockchain and will not be removed. So you're already finding the equivalent of, let's say, Soho, New York City, starting to be built and engineered and planned by companies in the metaverse. And what that means is, as a consumer, if I walk down in Decentraland, I could maybe come across, the Budapest Fashion Tech Summit, and then maybe next door, there's another activation going at a gallery that I love, or I'm just walking around and I'm just exploring, just like you would along the streets. It's a crazy concept to think about if you're not familiar with it, but the reality is that it's happening and it's super, super exciting. The conversations that we've been having over here during Miami Art Week, and again, what we're doing here at Unrevealed is a B2B campus, right? So everyone's just talking NFTs and they're talking about their brands and how do you interact between the two of them. But the exciting thing is that this may not look interesting to you. This may look just like a video game to you, but the reality is because if you thought about, in the 90s, I was, in high school in, the 96 to 2000. And, you'll see kind of a little bit of a demo now walking through. This is live, by the way. This is not something that, is a demo for this presentation. We're in Decentraland. We're actually inside of your activation as the Fashion Week. And we're looking at the different items and the brands. Look, the rug. You can see all of these things and you could actually click on the rug and say, okay, I want to purchase that. How about those bags? I want to purchase that. Right? Oh, those stools look great. Right now, the tactile ability is not available just yet. However, it's being worked on too. Gloves that make you feel and touch and things like that. But it's all kind of coming together. But what's exciting about this is that you can literally build branded experiences just as if somebody was coming to your store or to a festival such as South by Southwest, Web Summit, Collision Conference, you name it. And you can actually build your environments just to replicate those experiences and control the brand experience way more. So that's on one side. So this is what the internet, the early days of Web3 internet is essentially going to be looking like. The branded experience is one thing, and I think it's one of the most exciting things and the most easiest one to wrap your head around. So it's like, okay, the internet, the e-commerce versus Web3 now, and you could I hope you could visualize the difference. Now, again, this is super early, right? It feels like, 1990s or late 90s internet, where I would have somebody like my brother's friend would come over to me and say, oh, one day we're going to be able to order groceries from your computer. And I remember that moment just blowing my mind. But when I looked at the internet, when things were loading, it would be like this, right? Super slow. But folks that were involved at that time were extremely excited about it because they understood the power of how it could transform culture and actually we hear about disruption and this and that. This is a real disruption, not a disruption to a disruptive technology. This is disruptive to literally the way that we interact with each other and the world and with brands. So keeping it at a macro level and talking about how the internet was disruptive, that's where we're sitting right now. And if you ask anybody that's in this space, they will tell you the exact same. So if you don't want to hear it from me, I promise you're definitely going to hear it for other folks. But so to come back to it, I love the brand. I love the visual. I love the experience that you could build. But now when you you can attach different things to your NFT because they're all based on contracts, right? So when you issue an NFT, you can issue things behind it. And what I mean by that is you can issue access to different, let's say, events or even physical products that attach to an image, which gets really interesting. You could attach rewards. We've been trying to crack the rewards game for as long as I've been reporting on fashion. Everyone's been trying to figure out how do I incentivize and galvanize a relationship with my customer, and everyone just says, 40% off. Oh, you want this? These are rewards. Buy 10, get one free. This and that. I mean, there's sophisticated ways to doing it, and I think you know where I'm getting at with this, but rewards are really tough. With NFTs, you already have a contract that's already assigned and a connection between you and the holder or your customer or your audience, however you want to identify it, and you're able to interact with them directly with rewards-based initiatives. So that could look like what Louis Vuitton did recently. What they did is to commemorate their 200th year, they had essentially a digital game where you went through a metaverse environment and you looked and scavenger hunted for 30 different NFTs that were unique to their vintage trunks and things like that. And when you did that, when you were able to go around again, their full branded gamification, right? So this is real gamification, right? You feel like when you're going through these things that you're actually in a video game. It'll change a little bit. It'll feel more realistic over time. But the reality is right now you can gamify an experience, and it's so exciting for folks that are on the frontier that if your brand is just trying to do anything, it's a huge PR win in terms of trying to just figure it out. And then when you do kind of hit that great sweet spot in NFTs and Web3, and you kind of get to a place where, oh man, we're driving forward, or you see a competitor driving forward and you're able to iterate and make it your own, you'll already be ahead of it because you've tried so many times. And the barrier in terms of failing is not there right now. Everyone is just respecting, at this point in time, everyone is respecting just the sheer will and the drive and the curiosity of brands to get involved, to invest in the space, to understand that this is going to be meaningful, and how do we change now our culture and societies to fit within this new world of innovation, or Web3. So what I think, now going back to, let's say, an example of Bored Ape Yacht Club. So what the Bored Ape Yacht Club that has done so masterfully is really galvanizing community through utility and access to different events. So what had happened in the beginning, all the folks that jumped in early on and they loved the branding, or they loved the vibe, they loved the mission of the overall community, whatever it might have been, they got involved. And then as more people want to be involved, you're able, because it's finite, the number of the collection, they were able to then drive interest up, supply and demand goes up, your pricing goes up. Over time, the folks that got in early and identified it as a unique and interesting project, again, for whatever multitude of reasons that they wanted, if they held on through the 5x, 10x, 20x, 100x, whatever growth cycle they went to. Right now, One Ape, I think Jimmy Fallon, DJ Khaled just bought one over the last week. These are going for minimum 150, 250K US dollars. That's not approachable for most people, right? And so what we've come to now is a community with the Bored Apes, that you have folks that are buying their way into it. So they're obviously, they have the financial resources to be able to purchase a digital asset for access into a community, or they were super early. And not only were they super early, but they understood the value of staying involved and being involved. So now you have two collections of communities, all within one community, but you have two profiles of people, one that are, let's say, an investor side class, and then the other side is an innovator class. And both of those communities always want to collide and connect. So it's pretty brilliant. And the same way for your brand, what you can do here is, if I were, let's say Nike, okay? They release a collection of 10,000 NFTs, right? And maybe it's on the J1 Retros, 1985 series Jordan ones, right? Different colorways, this and that, different backgrounds, maybe different people, whatever it might be. On one end, they can say that, okay, we're only issuing 10,000 or whatever the limit is. And they can now reward people and develop a community around just those enthusiasts. So maybe there's events that are only precluded to those folks, right? Meet and greets with different celebrity athletes, things of that nature, which make it more and more coveted to have one of these NFTs. And then what people are doing is, because it's a digital asset, you could put them on your digital avatar, you could put them into your wallet, you could explore the metaverse and seeing and showing people, hey, this is my collection. You could trade things, you could resell right on the platform, whatever it might be. The other way to connect this, so that's the community aspect and just a touch of it, right? But the other way to do this is that, what if those same 10,000 NFTs, or maybe even 5 or 10 or 20, whatever it might be, they all came with a physical good. So, I talked a lot about, in Fashion is Your Business, our podcast, about essentially, connecting the customer experience through RFID or NFT technology, near field NFC technology, for a long time now, whether it's for supply chain or whether it's for authenticity. But now you could connect your NFT when it comes to actual ownership of a product. So I could sell, I don't know if you could see these, but you could grab these. Were you able to see those? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Beautiful. So I could connect an NFT to this physical product. We could loop them together, and I can authenticate the actual product itself to be a real versus a fake. So that's really exciting. And also the aspect of gifting through this stuff is really, really exciting. And to give a good example, just to kind of wrap things up, and I know that I've kind of spun around and talked a little bit ex-tempo today, and I appreciate, again, your time and the ability to connect with you all from this pretty large event that we're hosting here. But to leave you with one tangible, good example of how this could all connect, a leading innovating brand that I've been covering for a very long time is Rebecca Minkoff. And what she and her team have continuously done in the innovation space and kind of clearing paths have always been looked at by other brands in the industry as a whole as kind of a bellwether or a leader in the space. What they've done is, so because of, as a result of COVID and the associated restrictions, they did a full digital event, fashion show. And they connected it with NFTs, so all of her collections also came with the digital kind of pieces. So now that what you can do is you can not only experience her brand and her show in the metaverse, but you're also able to purchase the product. It'll get delivered to you. It comes with the NFT that matches your product. So now you can also show people in the metaverse where it's authenticated by access to your wallet. We'll get into, I think you guys should do some Googling on this stuff, but you could authenticate and show on your wallet the actual collection that you have. So it's almost like walking around with your closet with you. So my sneaker collection with me, I could just show people, hey, I got this, right? And it's just such an exciting way to now go into this next age of the internet and participate in a meaningful way. And if you're a brand, it's really developing those experiences that are just going to capture people's imagination. So if I'm going to leave off with anything, it's going to be don't wait. Don't wait for someone else to create something in your space. Lead. Look into Decentraland, look into Sandbox, look into working with folks like Post for Rent and Fresh Stash in doing immersive collaborations. Get your feet wet. Like, that's what we're doing here today. Yesterday we had 2,500 people over here in our back area. Pitbull was the announcer. We had Deepak Chopra in the morning. Everyone was here because they're all launching NFT projects. Everyone that you admire in entertainment and brand, all across the board, they are trying it. Whether they're telling you about it or not, that doesn't matter. You just get the announcement. That means months have gone into that planning. So just start planning, start doing. Don't be afraid to fail, because at this stage, this community that's in NFTs are just excited to see brands try. Because nobody knows where it's going, but we know that this iteration of Web3 is super early. This is Internet 1995, 1998, right? It'll figure itself out. The people that are going to win are the ones that are going to be messing around with this iteration, so that when it comes to what it can be, when it approaches what it can be, you're going to be in it. So good luck. Thank you so much for having me over here. I apologize I couldn't be with you all, and I really do hope to make it out to Budapest again, maybe next year. Cheers.